Hi everyone. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I was lucky enough to attend TOSCon 15, the TESOL Toronto Spring Conference. It was an excellent experience. And one of the highlights was the featured talk by Jeremy Harmer, in which he discussed whether or not teaching English is an art, a science, or a craft. He's a joy to listen to. He's very entertaining and also very insightful. I found the talk very inspirational. I feel like it was sort of motivation to reignite that spark that I think all of us have, because, I think that most of the people in this profession really enjoy teaching and enjoy working with students from many different cultures. But in the day-to-day grind, it can be kind of easy to become disillusioned or just not to be so excited about how wonderful our job is. And he really talked about how we should celebrate our victories and we should celebrate our successes. And one of the things he said that really resonated with me was that we should ask ourselves, and we should ask other teachers, what went well? Okay? What have I done recently that went well and worked in class? A lot of times we focus on the negative. We talk to our teacher friends and it's just like, oh man, let me tell you about this terrible class and blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. That's important. But it's also important to focus on the things that go well, the positive parts of our teaching careers. And today, in my high intermediate writing class, I had a successful moment. We were discussing sentence structure in English so that we could start working on sentence fragments, correcting sentence fragments, and also connecting sentences. And this idea popped into my head for a metaphor, and it seemed like it clicked with a few students. So with the help of Microsoft Paint, I'm going to walk you through the metaphor I used that seemed to make sense to my students. Okay, so going old school here, which is generally the way I do things. Whoops. Okay, so we were talking about simple sentences, complex sentences, and compound sentences. And the goal was to eventually talk about how we could avoid sentence fragments. So I started drawing on the board, and I warned them that I'm not an excellent artist. But I said, okay, a simple sentence is like a house. Okay? It's like a house. It can stand by itself. Alright? We have a couple of walls that are really important. We have our subject. We have our verb. If we're missing either of those things, the house will fall down. It can't support itself. Okay? And then I said, all right, what do you think a complex sentence is? And they looked at me like I was crazy. But then I said, all right, let's talk about a duplex. And I asked them, do you know the word duplex? And that looks like a refrigerator. A couple of my students said, yeah, we know the word duplex. Okay, so I drew a picture of a duplex, and I drew some stairs going down. This actually looks a lot like my board drawing skills. Okay, so I said, we have a duplex, and in the duplex, this is the independent clause, and this is the dependent clause. And, in a simple sentence, the house can stand up, okay? We have the subject and verb, the house stands by itself. In a duplex, with a roof, that's important, in a duplex, we need the independent clause, right? If we take away the independent clause, what happens? It falls down. The people living in this unit will be very unhappy, okay? And then we talked about how it's okay to remove the dependent clause because the duplex can still stand. Okay, so that was for a complex sentence. All right, and then we had the idea of duplex. That was good. So then I said, all right, so this is an upstairs-downstairs duplex. It's a complex sentence. But have you ever seen what is called a side-by-side duplex? To which they said, oh, yeah. It's two separate dwellings that are connected, and they're next to each other. Okay? And I said, all right, so a compound sentence is a side-by-side duplex. All right, so we have one independent clause, here, and we have another independent clause here. Okay, so both of these are independent clauses. Now, over here, if we remove the independent clause, that's a big problem, right? This duplex that's on top goes crash into the ground and it doesn't work. But with the side-by-side duplex, the compound sentence, if I erase one of the independent clauses, it's okay. Okay? This is still on solid ground and it can still stand up. Alright, so that's what I did in class today, and my students seem to get it. They seem to enjoy the visuals. So the next time you're teaching sentence structure, feel free to use that metaphor.